The Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series visited Southern National Motorsports Park last week, and after 200 laps and over 20 cautions later, it was Nick Johnson that came out on top. This week we head to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Over a century ago, this 2.5-mile speedway was covered entirely with bricks, earning the nickname the Brickyard. And the stripe will cross 42 times tonight has a patch of these bricks that remain, a reminder of the history that has passed between these walls. Tonight, it's 42 laps around the road course configuration here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's time to write another page in the history book. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna tonight. Finian, welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is a great racetrack that every May turns into a mecca for motorsports fans everywhere for the IndyCar series. But tonight we're running the Class B Xfinity stock car on the road course configuration, and we've seen stock car racing here before, and it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it really is, and really looking forward to having it yet again. This will be the first time we've had the Xfinity cars go around the road course. We've seen the Cup guys go around here twice in the Outsiders Racing League. And actually, speaking of the Outsiders Racing League, we've got David Mott Jr. on the grid tonight. He just sent me a PM about something, and I just looking at the order, and I saw him down there just joining in late. So we'll see him on the grid as well as everyone else from the series.
So qualifying just starting now. We got about 7 minutes left. Here's Mitch Welker, the number 76, running a beautiful McLaren paint on the car this week, and he's working his way around the racetrack. I would expect the Project 2 cars, those being Mitch Welker, Zach Buchanan, and Nick Johnson, I would expect them to be really, really good tonight. Zach Buchanan was on top of the board in practice. I would expect them to be pretty much the unbeatable cars tonight, especially that 40 of Buchanan. He looks really quick.
I mean, that entire team is pretty much full of the road course ringers for the good amount of them, at least, for this series. So definitely expect to see those guys among the top few spots, and be surprised if not at least one of those cars didn't walk away here with the win. And you see Mitch Welker here coming onto the straightaway section, going to be full throttle for the most part through his bed.
This looks like you're right on board with Welker here during his qualifying efforts. You kind of get an idea of how hard to control this car is. This is not an easy layout to drive. This is significantly more difficult than Sonoma, Watkins Glen, Road America, all of those above, because it's so much oval involved, especially what is now IndyCar Turn 1. It is the final corner here. It looks like Mitch Welker has just gone to the top of the board. That will be his only qualifying lap, it looks like.
Satisfied with that. Going to call it a day, and McLaren paints can release at the top of the board. Looking at the other guys that have come through, Zach Buchanan, Riley Thompson, Chad Simpson. No surprise to see these guys here, as well as Liam Sheen, too, in the 96. He's also in 5th.
Yeah, so Chad Simpson, this is a new start for him here in this series in the Spark VR virtual reality car in the Toyota Supra, into the braking zone here. And this is certainly a challenging racetrack, not only because of the corners, but also because of the heavy braking zones you're dealing with, Finian. No anti-lock brakes on these cars, super easy to lock up the tires, and you're carrying these wheels up and over. You're running relatively soft suspension, so you're going to carry those wheels up over the top of the curbs, and I expect the start of this race to be pretty wild.
And we'll see if Chad Simpson can try to improve his time here as he's coming onto the straightaway section now, onto the oval. And currently in 4th of the 46, and again, not too terribly surprised to see him up here. Being a driver who's driven this course, see him getting really sideways in oval turn 1 and across the line for him, across the yard of bricks.
131.0, that'll put him in, well, exactly where he is now, 4th place, so no improvement for him. Nick Johnson in the 28 car is accelerating onto the back straightaway here, Finney, and this is probably be one of our best passing zones as he's slowed up for now. But this is probably one of our best passing zones into here. And I got to get myself a track map because I don't really know the corner numbers around this place. I'm actually going to go get my tablet, so I'll be right back. You can take over for a minute.
Yeah, neither do I for that matter. So, yeah,
I'm going to go get it.
Yeah, so looking at Nick Johnson here, you can see him taking it easy on the road course section here, trying to save those tires up for his lap here. And as he comes back onto the oval section, he's going to punch the gas here and get wound up. Also take a look at Will Roberts is. He's actually just getting on the track. So we'll take a look at Nick Johnson here as you're back with your tablet.
Okay, so I have to find which layout it is because it's going to be very difficult to figure out exactly.
Oh yeah, you're going to have to go in Racing Reference, I think, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So let's talk a little bit about this racetrack, and let's talk about the weather tonight, Finian. Take a look. How about 106 degrees on the track surface? Is that going to be a problem tonight, do you think?
I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's definitely probably warmer than obviously some drivers would like. You want it to ideally be pretty cool, gives you the track a lot of grip. But definitely some guys you definitely see thrive in some of the hotter temperatures, so they're going to have a field day with that. You see the 28 and Nick Johnson. You can see also, too, just by the way these guys are driving with the back end coming out, how slick the racetrack is.
Yeah, this is also our first road race of the season as well. Round number 6, I believe we are in tonight, 5 or 6. So a first road race of the year, and we're going to see some very different talent jumping to the top of the board. And Thomas Bressi in the 24 is always a driver to watch out for at the road courses in the past.
Indeed, the last time we were at the road course for this series, he won at Watkins Glen when we were still in the Cup car last season. So we'll see how the 24 can do here as he comes across the line. It's going to be 130.5. That should be good enough for pole, and indeed it is.
Yeah, he's got top spot here in the number 24, so he'll hang on to that for now. Will Roberts out on track in his Toyota Supra.
Yeah, getting ready. He's going to start his lap now. He's going to have more than enough time to get that lap complete. I did realize Racing Reference is not the right website. It's what is it? It's track history or something like that.
Yeah, I'll get it, but it might take me a few minutes here. But you know, if we had the updated track, it would be a little bit easier to find this sort of stuff. But,
yeah, I was gonna say it really is. It really is weird. They didn't run this layout for too long, so that's gonna be that's part of the tricky bit. As it's kind of similar to, for the most part, at least the first half of the lap is the same as it was for when Formula 1 came here for the United States Grand Prix. The later bit of it, the kind of left, right, left, and then right back onto the oval.
Is that good enough?
That is not it. That's, well, that'll work.
That's it, right?
That's not technically it, because in the second half, you see how there's the double hairpin?
Oh, yeah,
in turn 9 and 10. The quarter numbers are still the same, so I mean, you can pretty much use that. That's the only thing that's really changed.
This is, how did that, what even layout is that? They're having a fun time looking for the layouts here.
Yeah, so that was a Formula 1 layout they used. They had a double hairpin, and you can see coming up for Will Roberts through this section. So they changed it after Formula 1 left. This is now just, 90-degree left, 90-degree right, and then 90-degree left again. This used to be hairpins.
I'm going to imagine that Wikipedia might even be my best shot here.
Yeah,
we're almost there.
Look.
That's, I mean...
that's the newer one. I'm telling you might as well just use the other one, because the numbers didn't really change from that.
What year was this scandal?
I have no clue.
2010?
Yeah, probably. 09 or 10. 09 or 10.
2010. It didn't change during that year, I don't think.
And Will Roberts across the line is going to end up in 10th. He's going to be 2 seconds slower off the lead, but still a solid time, and one of the few guys that have put a time down. Only 13 drivers have put a qualifying time down. Yeah,
are we surprised by that? I would think qualifying at a road race would probably be in your best interest, wouldn't you think?
I guess some guys are feeling, they're just going to kind of run this out. I feel like we're going to see a lot of the guys that probably aren't as good at the road courses. They're going to be starting more towards the back. As Will Roberts, he's going to finish up here because he doesn't have enough time to make another lap, and so it looks like that's more or less gonna wrap up qualifying here. Take a nice big look at the track.
My favorite, I might be just better off going to iRacing. Just going to directly getting. I'm just gonna go on the desktop here. This is ridiculous. This is why we need updated content.
I know it was gonna be hard, yeah, because this is they didn't really run this.
I don't think they ran it ever. I think this is just a fictional layout. It seems like at that point, but so while we're waiting for the green flag here tonight, Finn, 42 laps, no stages. We do have the potential for full course yellows, but probably unlikely that we'll see that tonight. So fuel strategy, talk to me. I mean, tires, how much are they going to be worth, do you think?
I think they're going to be worth something as far as looking after them. As I really think for these guys, more or less, I don't think they're going to want to come down an extra stub just for the tires. So I think more or less they're just going to have to worry about looking after it here.
So heading down to the grid here in just a moment, and finally we've got ourselves somewhat of a track map. It's not going to do me a whole lot of good.
No, it's not.
No corner numbers, so that's great, iRacing. Thanks for that. Don't need to give us corner numbers on the track maps. Anyway, down to the racetrack. Let's go through our starting lineup here tonight. And on the front row this evening, and it's going to be the number 28 of Nick Johnson that stole away the pole in the final moments from Thomas Bressi and the 24. So it's 28, 24, Supra, and Camaro on the front row.
And moving on back to third, we have Mitch Walker in the 76. He's going to be lining up next to his teammate Zach Buchanan in the 40 in fourth. The Project 2 guys first, third, and fourth.
Yeah, they're looking really, really solid. Riley Thompson in the number 58. Departure from TDR Racing this week. Chad Simpson in the 46. First start for him on a road course this year. In this series, he'll roll off in sixth place tonight in the number 46 car.
Teammate to the 24, Tyler Hensley in the 44 is going to be starting in seventh, next to eighth place Travis McQuistion in the 93.
Liam Sheen, the number 96, he'll roll off in ninth place, right alongside Will Roberts in the number 39.
Moving back another row, in 11th place we find Colin Fambro in the 5, in the Ford, one of the only Ford Mustangs in the field. Next to Brian Chambliss in the 25 in 12th.
In 13th place tonight, Evan Adams in the number 59 car in his Toyota Supra, and Blake Trawick in the number 65 in his Chevrolet Camaro. He rolls off on the outside of row number 7.
Back in 15th, we find Robert Hall in the 30. He's going to be lined up in the inside. Next to him, David Mott in the 10 is going to be lining up in 16th.
In 17th place, Kevin Bartelt in the number 20. His Toyota Supra rolls off in 17th place. Hayden Pistorius in the number 9. He'll start 18th tonight.
Moving on back to 19th, we find John Wilco in the 62, who's going to be lining up next to Calvin Filarski in the 2 in 20th.
Filarski didn't make it to the grid here, Finian, so he will not get to start from the racing line. He'll have to start from the pit road this evening. And I think, didn't he have a late start last week, too? Someone had a late start last week. I'm not sure if it was him or not. But field rolls off for a pace lap here on Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Again, thank you for joining us here on SimTV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finny DeCuna. If you'd like to learn more, head to www.simtvbroadcasting.com or youtube.com/simtvbroadcasting. And we've got a really big, important broadcast next week on Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. You're not going to want to miss this one. We're putting all hands on deck. Going to be an incredible broadcast with the first round of the 2020 Redenzo Sports Car Challenge. GT4 TCRs from COTA, Circuit of the Americas, with guest Tom O'Gorman from Honda Racing and HPD going to be joining me in the booth as over 40 drivers take to Circuit of the Americas in 2 20-minute sprint races. And the production quality for that is going to be insane, so make sure you're here for that. So, predictions early tonight, Vinny, and I think if you pick a Project 2 car, you're looking good, but who's the guy that's going to upset that team?
I don't know. I think really we're going to have to look. Obviously, you're looking at him right now, the 24 Thomas Bresci going to be starting in second place. Looked like he had enough pace for the pole, but you see he has a 28 going to pass him on the pace lap. Was passed him barely at the end of qualifying, so I think definitely have to keep an eye on those guys. Also think the 58 of Riley Thompson has got a solid chance of upsetting the Project 2 parade at the front, so I think those are definitely the guys other than that team that we should look out for.
Anybody starting deeper in the field that can claw their way forward, Finney? And I mean, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of drivers that didn't qualify that we expect to run up front, but what about some of the wild cards here, like Brian Chambliss or maybe even Kyle Westwood in the number 7?
Yeah, I'd say Chambliss might have a decent shot. We might have to keep an eye on him, but I do think our winner is probably going to come from the first 4 rows on the grid.
Final couple of corners here. We got over 24 drivers lined up for the start of this race. 42 laps will take about an hour from start to finish. And you're watching the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series on SimTV. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is famous for a lot of things. IndyCar, NASCAR, sports cars, and Formula One. Tonight, it's the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series and the Class B Xfinity Series car. Rolling through the final corner, pace car is going to peel off. The field going to be in the hands of Project 2 driver Nick Johnson. He's got his teammates in the row behind him. Time to go racing tonight. Field lined up on the front straightaway. Green flag flies, and we're racing from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A slow crawl down into turn 1. Everyone trying to avoid running into each other. So far, so good. Some 44 car a little bit wide through turn 2, but he's gotten it sorted back out. Liam Sheen dropping down the order. He got off track slightly, and he'll plummet down to 16th.
Yeah, as the problems with the car back up to speed. Meanwhile, it's Nick Johnson, Mitch Walker, Zach Buchanan, your top 3. The Project 2 guys already moving up, taking all 3.
Whoa, spinner behind him, the 93 McQuistion sideways. He's going to hang on to it and get it back on course.
Barely, and he's still trying to finally get back in course. He's got guys who's outside, gonna just fall in line in behind Colin Fambro.
And already Brian Chambliss with some rear end damage, so he's gotten the front bumper from somebody. Johnson out front, Welker and Buchanan extremely aggressive on the initial start. They got through. Bresci who falls to 4th, and it's Thompson, Simpson, Hensley, Fambro, McQuistion, and Roberts, the rest of your top 10.
All these guys working through this section here. McQuistion side by side with Will Roberts is going to jump over the curve. That might be a corner cut for the 93.
That was Liam Sheen and the 9 of Hayden Pistorius getting together. So far, the rest of the lap has been clean. But McQuistion and Roberts fighting for 9th. McQuistion's going to hang on. I found the car that ran in the back at Chambliss. It was Blake Trawick in the number 65. That front end all torn to pieces. And a big slide. He'll save it and lose a spot to Evan Adams.
Now defending from the machine, you see everyone rocketing down the front straightaway to complete lap 1 of 42.
And field kind of stacking up behind Will Roberts right now as they head down towards turn number 1. There's Brian Chambliss in the 25. Evan Adams having a good start to his night in 12th place. Then Liam Sheen, Trey Wick, Pistorius, and Robert Hall down in 16th. And there's a pass. There's Pistorius to the inside of the 65. Pass complete.
Barely, so almost got into contact with the 65, but gonna get cleared for the spot.
And Dolger and Matthews were nose to tail in turn number 2. Westwood back there in the number 7. But out front, Johnson beginning to drive away from his teammates here, Finian. But Buchanan was quickest in practice, so is it just waiting for the tires to come up to temp, or do you think he's holding back for now?
He might be holding back. We'll have to see here. Again, this is a race, especially for these guys up the front. Going to be a matter of pacing themselves, not just outright speed, because you don't want to use up the tires too much, because then you're going to have a severe lack in pace towards the end of a run.
Through turn 10 as the field comes on through again. Evan Adams under attack from Liam Sheen will give that spot away as we work through lap number 2. And turn 10 is so hard to get that car to rotate. That is such a tight radius to lumber these big stock cars around. Here comes Pistorius, going to cross up underneath Evan Adams, try to get the power down, and it's so tricky to get that power all the way to the ground here and not spin the tires.
Yeah, Evan Adams going to let him on by, and now here comes here comes the 65 of Treywick on the outside of Adams, and he's also going to get the spot by the time they get to oval turn 1.
Zach Buchanan taking a look to the inside of Mitch Welker for a moment down the straightaway. Bit of a lockup there from somebody. Ooh, there's Bresci with a nose up to the inside of the 40. Knocked him out of the way here, Finian. So getting physical. Evan Adams has gone around in the final corner, but back to the battle for third. Buchanan and Bresci side by side.
Buchanan's going to try to fight for as many spots as he can. He said he's had a miserable start to the season so far. That's not the results he would have wanted. Here he's going to be fighting with the 24 of Bresci, as Bresci's going to be working on the outside. And here comes the 58 also of Riley Thompson in behind.
That Thompson, again, we know how good he is at road course racing. And see Bresci clear Buchanan, and now they're going to both fight to get the power back to the ground. I don't think this battle is quite over yet. And here comes Buchanan, going to take a look back up the inside as they head towards turn number 9.
And Bresci playing defensive here. Buchanan's going to have to kind of yield that spot here in defend also from the 58 who's charging him by.
And knowing when to concede is probably a smart thing this early in the race, so Buchanan's going to let the 24 pull away for now. And we'll see if he can come back at him a little bit later. Still so long left to go in this race, pit stops and everything. There's no need to fight needlessly for a spot on lap number 3. Let him go, you'll get him later. So let's go back and take a look at what happened to the 59 of Evan Adams.
Yeah, he just got kind of... He was running on the oval, so not sure how he got down in pit road. Oh.
Yeah, well, probably by accident. Here's a look. This was one lap ago. Was underneath the 65 and maybe just too much power and too much wheel.
Got loose.
Gets out from underneath him and he's going to go straight into pit lane. Ooh, yeah.
Oh.
That's a gnarly impact there with the pit wall.
Yeah, that's going to end the car right there.
Buchanan and Thompson still for 4th. Riley Thompson in 5th. The top 5 kind of have broken away. Chambliss is around.
Yeah, it was running pretty well in that 25 car.
I think that's a wheel hop situation there. And you might be able to hear this if we ride on board. Yeah, you see the tachometer bouncing up and down. That's the rear wheels. They act like basketballs when you have too much rear brake bias in it, Finian. They start to bounce up and down, and the only way you can get rid of that is by letting off the brake. But at that point in the corner, you can't let off the brake. You're going to have a hard hit.
Yeah, Jay was falling back from 11th to 14. Meanwhile, looking at Colin Fambro now, he's going to be side by side with McQuiston. Fambro was a little bit surprised to see him further down the order. I would have thought he would have been further up. He's got a solidly fast car, but not doing too well this week.
Pushing the issue right behind McQuiston in that number 93 is Fambro, and they're setting up turn 10 right here to clip the curb, and you see the 93 takes a bit of a tighter line. Fambro using the throttle to rotate that car around. Big cut there by the 93. They give you a lot of room on the inside to cut that corner, don't they?
McQuiston using every inch of it. He's going to try to drive away in 8th place. You see Will Roberts hounding the 5 in 10th.
And Roberts started this race in 10th spot, so he has not really been able to make any advances. Christopher Matthews has gone around for a loop, probably a acceleration error, and runs a little bit off into the grass, tries to put the power down, and it's so slippery.
Cool. Yeah, and a lazy spin for the 92. Barely even a spin, really. And And looking up at the top of the order, not really much has changed. The gaps have kind of fluctuated a bit, especially between the 28 of Nick Johnson and the 76 of Mitch Welker. He has not, Welker's not been able to close the gap back up.
Yeah, and again, I'm kind of curious to see who's really going to be the strongest of the Project 2 cars tonight, Vinny. And I would expect that Buchanan would be the strongest, but it looks like Johnson is having no problem driving away.
Yeah, I am just curious if that's the 28 burning up his stuff too much, but we know that Nick Johnson, he definitely knows how to get it done on these road courses and is an accomplished racer, so I would imagine he knows what he's doing with the pace that he's setting for everyone else, and we'll see if that'll continue, if the gap will further expand. But I do see that 24 getting to the back of that 76.
Yeah, last time by ran a 1:30.957. It was his best lap of the race. Mitch Welker just ran a 1:31.4, so he's significantly off the pace in comparison to Bresci from one lap ago, almost half a second. And so I think this 76 is about to get a rear bumper full of that Exalta Camaro.
Yeah, back across the line they come, and it was Bresci at the line. He was 0.3 faster than Welker last lap through, so that 24 is starting to make some progress, and you see already towards the back bumper of that 76. Ooh, and Welker wide in turn 2.
Yeah.
Gonna ruin his run down to turn 3. Here comes Bresci.
Yeah, big unders here, and here comes Bresci, gonna squirt up the inside on the brakes, bit of a slide contact, and he's gonna run the 76 up the racetrack, and Welker's certainly not gonna like that. And I think the 24 also roughed up the 40 the last time by, so he's certainly not making any friends out there, but he's through back to second.
Yeah, I think he saw Welker go wide in the corner, threw it in there just a little bit too hard, and that move's gonna put Welker back in behind his teammate in the 40.
And somewhat significant damage on that front bumper, too. That's not insignificant at all. Let's go back and see exactly how this happened. The 24 is just going to try to squeeze up there, and he's out of control, and 76 tries to turn in, and there was a car there. So,
yeah, so that's going to put Welker back. The car seems to be all right. He's not losing any time back to Buchanan.
Yeah,
so.
it's the placebo effect, though. You get hit like that, and all of a sudden you start feeling like things are understeering, and it's a frustrating moment for sure, but he's going to have to, get back behind the wheel and go up there and take it back. But now he's got Riley Thompson to worry about.
Riley Thompson now also starting to kind of pick up the pace here as the run's gone on for a few laps. Welker just a little bit tight in some of these corners.
Thompson wheeling it down the front straightaway. As they came across the line, Bresci was significantly slower than Johnson, but he had to deal with the Project 2 cars the last time. We'll see if this lap he can set a better time than the leader. Yeah, Johnson has a 2.6 second lead.
Yeah, I think this will be a true indicator now because the 24 has essentially got clean air in front of him. So,
well, the other thing is that Zach Buchanan has not gone away. The 24 passed him a few laps ago, and Buchanan stuck right with him the entire time. So I think the 40 is just as quick as this 24. He's going to follow him all the way up to the front, and he's getting outside of the mirror of the 24, maybe trying to spook him a bit.
Yeah, we'll see if the 40 does try to end up making a run back on the 24. Bresci, meanwhile, in behind, there you see Welker and Riley Thompson going at it. And Welker now, I think, starting to definitely feel some hurt in that car as he's trying to get back on the power. Here comes Thompson, though, all over him.
Yeah, and Thompson's going to have a look up the inside. Welker doesn't bother defending here. He's going to drive off a little bit deeper. We'll see. Oh, he's so good on the brakes, though, Finney. And he braked to the full 50 feet later and still managed to get the car slowed down. And that's what I love about these big stock cars at these road courses, because so much skill transfers into the braking of these cars. No anti-lock brakes and cast iron rotors. These things take forever to stop, and it lets the driver really make a difference on these cars on the brakes.
So back onto the oval, this will again, you're looking at really a true indicator of what's the pace of both the 28 and Nick Johnson and Thomas Bresci at this point in the run. And as Johnson comes across the line, last lap through will be a 131.8. For Bresci, a little bit faster, about half a tenth faster for the 24.
Yeah, I do think that's going to make a difference. Got a lot of racing left. Welker and Thompson racing off into turn 1. The Thompson's laying on the brakes. Almost get together there, but Thompson following so closely. Flirting with a bit of contact. But Welker certainly off the pace, about a second slower than his teammate last time by. So you have to wonder if that damage really is affecting the steering of that car.
It didn't look like it was at first, but now it definitely looks like he's starting to fall off the pace a bit.
Steering looks straight, but I'm sure that it could be affecting the transient maneuvers. See Buchanan take a look up the inside of the 24 up the road. Unable to get quite there yet, but I don't think we've seen the last of this battle. So 7 laps complete. We're working lap number 8 here, Finney. Do you think these guys will try to split it into one stop halfway, or do you think it'll be a 2-stop race? What's your call?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty much a one-stop race. It really depends on the fuel. I think they should have enough for a one-stop, but obviously we'll see if anyone does try any extra strategy. If they are going to try to make it on 2 stops, you could probably see guys start pitting within the next 4 or 5 laps, but I kind of doubt it.
Colin Fambro and the 9 of Hayden Pistorius racing off into turn number 9. And Fambro a little wide there, couldn't quite get the car coaxed to the apex in his GoPro Mustang. Pistorius closes right up as they head to turn 10.
And Pistorius got a little bit wide in that corner, had to sacrifice his entry into the next corner. And that's this entire sector is really a matter of rhythm and getting it down.
Yeah, if you make one mistake, it's going to haunt you for the rest. Here's Welker going defensive into turn 1. And Thompson on the brakes. Seems like Thompson's a hair better in the brakes in turn 1, but you saw him yaw out sideways there with some wheel hop.
And here's the interesting thing. So we're talking about Welker being off the pace last lap through. He was the fastest of the top 5.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so he's got that car back in the right direction. And again, I feel like so much of that is placebo effect. When you get hit like that, you feel like the car is wrong, and then after a couple laps, you get back into rhythm and you start knocking off some really fast laps. Here comes Pistorius through to 11.
Yeah, gonna make a dive up the inside of Fambro, get clear by turn 1. Gonna go wide though, and here comes Fambro back on him.
Great crossover by the 5 to see that coming, and so slow and no banking here. These cars like to slip and slide. Oh, Welker spun! He's around in the gravel trap in turn 4. Trouble for the 76.
Did he have help?
And this is big. One of the drivers we thought would be inside the podium positions tonight. He might have. Oh, he just drove off into the corner at 1,000 miles an hour, Finney.
Oh.
And did he get the wall? Doesn't look like he did.
Anything.
And again, trying to see if he just drove off in here too hard, or
I think he you can see here he's kind of chasing by the wheel, but then coming to this next corner, he carry a lot of speed.
he was already. You can see the correction back to the left. He wasn't quite set up and just overdrove it.
Yeah, misses breaking point.
Ooh, hop over the gravel pit. And he's lucky that they're not quite as grabby here as they are in the real world. So he'll get away with that one, but he'll drop to 7th.
Yeah, no cautions to reset the order, so these guys are going to essentially be running to the end.
Robert Hall was going for, he needs a track map out there.
Yeah, I was going to say going rally crossing.
Well, it's a shame that he needs a track map because they're really hard to find. He was on the outside, there were 3 wide and a big wheel hop as he slid off into the corner. That was quite the excursion he had. That is not where you want to be.
Suppose you put it back there, I would have just gone straight on through.
I know, the problem is you have to serve a big slowdown at that point. So he's back running in 15th place, but started in 15th, so no progress to speak of so far after 10 laps of racing. Johnston at the front of the field. Last time I ran a 32.4 to Gressy's 131.9 and Buchanan's 32.0. So the 2nd and 3rd place cars are running quicker laps, but they haven't really seemed to have caught up.
No, they haven't. The gap has definitely kind of stopped expanding as much as it was, so it's maintained around 2.5 seconds and some change. So we'll see if Bressie can really try to close this back up, though the gap's kind of been maintained for now. So I think we might see, it might come down to some stuff on pit road here.
Pistorius in the number 9 has had a pretty solid night so far. 18th to 11th, plus 7 spots for him, Finian.
Solid progress for the 9 cars. The next car on his list is going to be the 39 of Will Robertson, 10th up the road.
And Tyler Dulger, I think, has had enough, so we'll go back and see what happened to him.
You can see him slow.
He just locked up big time in the same place that Welker did. Do you see how much wheel he had in it to try to keep it from going off into the gravel, and just ended up looping it around. So Calvin Flarski never he did start this race, but he is back in pit lane.
Yeah, he was out there running for a bit, and then he came back down.
He's got damage. We didn't see where that happened. Just kind of went out there, crashed, and came back in, so not much to speak of. How about Fambro and Treywick fighting for a spot? This is 13th on the front straightaway.
So Treywick, he's had that damage since lap 1, trying to chase down Fambro.
Into the braking zone, Treywick aggressive, as we see Mitch Walker has gone back by Tyler Hensley for 6th place up the order. Walker's last time was a 32.6, which is faster than at least Chad Simpson in front of him, so he should be able to get back to 5th without too much of a problem. And I thought that was Bresci for a moment. I saw the Exalto logos on the back in panic, but Bresci has closed in a couple more tenths on Johnson. The gap is 2.3. It was 2.6 last lap.
Yeah, and still starting to drop, so he's doing a really good job. So took a massive cut out of that corner, man.
Buchanan's starting to slide the tires a little bit, and Riley Thompson has just been hanging in fourth, and this is probably the driver that we should keep an eye on because he's been quietly hanging out here. He hasn't gone up there and been flashy, running crazy fast lap times, but he is hanging in there, and he has the potential to sneak up with a good pit stop.
And even if he doesn't, he's still looking at a really solid top 4 or 5 finish here.
This last corner is so chaotic because your driver is sitting right next to that concrete wall and corner exit, and I think that's why they opted for the layout with the chicane in the final corner in real life, is because they didn't want driver with their driver's side being right up against that wall at 150 miles an hour. So that's pretty wild ride through the final corner.
It is unfortunate they've stopped even for the IndyCar Grand Prix that they have here. They stopped using the oval turn 1.
Yeah, I mean I like it, but it's not. I don't like it enough to put people at risk.
Yeah.
But David Mott Jr. Is also pulled off for the night.
Yeah, he's gone 3 laps down, so he pulled off 3 laps earlier. Not sure what caused the 10 to retire. The car looks fine, but unfortunately it's going to be a
Will
DNF.
Roberts, he's around. This is turn number
1. Turn 1.
Is it 1?
Yep.
Yeah. He's way out on corner exit, so how did he... Probably a wheel hop situation here. Oh, yeah. And that's a wild ride. Looping around. Get back rolling, but it's so easy to let the cars get away from you, and it's so tricky to gauge that pressure because once you start getting wheel hop, it's so hard to back out of that situation that you just kind of have to ride it out and hope we can hang on to it. But that was not savable, I don't think.
Yeah, and Roberts now back to 15.
Oh, hello. Sorry to cut you off there, Finian, but Bresci has caught Johnson by 2 seconds. I think Johnson might have had a slowdown or a cut course or something because Bresci is there.
And he's so slow as they get back onto the oval section. I think definitely this time through we'll see Nick Johnson with significantly slower timing. Now was 1.5 seconds off last time through.
180 into the braking zone. All the way down to second gear.
Some lap traffic too up the road.
Who that is, or John Wilco in the 62. And Zach Buchanan's right back in this fight.
Yeah, so essentially 3-way battle for the lead here. Riley Thompson a little bit further back in fourth.
And then it's 10 seconds back to Simpson, and then a further 3 seconds back to Mitch Welker. So Welker's got a 13-second differential to get back to 4th place, and that spin was very costly.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's, I think, going to have to settle for 5th place in this race, unfortunate as it may be, but it's going to be really hard to try to even get back to 4th place.
This racetrack always ends up having close battles for the lead. You think back to the Outsider Racing League race here a couple seasons ago. It was Bailey Turner and Mark Emerson on the... I think it was Mark Emerson on the... no, it was somebody else. Who was the car that Bailey Turner was fighting on the last lap? Oh, big mistake by Johnson. Here comes Bresci up the inside. Pass for position. No, not quite. Johnson fights back hard. Here comes Buchanan up for 2nd place.
And Johnson's going to bully off Bresci, trying to bully him off the track. And here comes Bresci back looking up the inside as they come back onto the oval. And they're going to be bumper to bumper here as they come trying to complete lap 13 onto 14.
I was just saying how competitive this racetrack is, and we're seeing an example of that right there. There's Wilco pulling off to the side of the racetrack to let these leaders on by. I think that's Wilco. Could be David Mott Jr. Nope. Could be David Mott Jr. I think it was a black car. It was David Mott. Into turn 1. Buchanan up the inside. 3 wide for the lead down into the 1st corner, and Bresci bails out.
Buchanan's going to get that 2nd spot. Bresci back to 3rd. Not done yet. Ooh. 24, luckily he was going to give a bump to the 40.
That was a great pass by Buchanan. He just took it and went for it. Dived up the inside of the 24. Now he's battling his teammate. Will Roberts has gone for a spin at the exit of the final corner. Christopher Matthews also, but we're going to focus on the lead now at lap 14 as Bresci looks up the inside. Contact and another shot to the back of the 40.
That's going to send Buchanan wide here. It's going to open up the door for the 24, but he's not clear just yet, and I imagine Buchanan's going to give some payback here.
Yeah, I don't think that with how much the 24 and the Project 2 cars have been leaning on each other, I don't think this is going to end very well tonight. They might be having fun, but it could be boiling over, and you won't know until the end.
And Bresci leaving tire marks as he comes out of that last corner, down at the end of the straightaway, of the back straightaway.
Oh, he's in hot into turn 9. He's going to hang on to it. Here comes the 40 back to the rear bumper. And trying to maybe take care of his front end. He's going to lean on the 24 right there into 10. It's getting good here, folks. And Johnson is driving off and away into the sunset. 1.2 second lead now again.
And as close as they caught him, Johnson going to expand the gap out yet again. But I was surprised to see Johnson make Not only mistake the lap before, but then the next lap after that, and that caused the 24 and the 40 to get close to see Bressy really loose.
He's wheeling it. He's got a little bit of nose damage as well on this track. With how much straightaway you have, that could affect him if he gets any more damage on that nose. So gotta be conscious of how much you're roughing people up. Johnson this time by a 33.5, and this is great for Mitch Welker because he ran a second and a half faster than the second and third place cars that last lap because of how much they're messing with each other. And you see he's still coming out of the final corner. The rest of the drivers are through turn 2 already, but Welker is coming back.
And also, one driver who's coming back too is the 58 of Riley Thompson in 4th place. He's kind of emerged back in this fight after the top 3 kind of slowing each other down.
And we're about 3 seconds off our best time, so the tire fall-off has been absurd. And maybe for some drivers like Welker, this would be an opportunity to short pit and maybe get the tire advantage over the rest of the drivers. What do you think about that call here? Pit now and try to get an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to get an advantage, but you're going to pay the price later in the race, so we'll see what these guys decide to do with that. See Nick Johnson going all the way out on the off the racing servers onto the apron, trying to get an advantage here, and
That's
catching up to Bartelt.
And second, still an impressive fight, but Johnson has eked out a 1.3 second lead and hasn't given most of it up just yet.
Whoa.
Bartelt sideways in front of the leader. That's certainly going to slow him up quite a bit.
Slow him quite a bit, and here comes Bressy and Buchanan back on him yet again.
That's going to also sacrifice the 28th line onto the straightaway. That's going to let Bressy eat into half of that lead as they head towards IndyCar Oval, turn number 1.
Now Barhill might hold up the 24 Bressy here, depending on how he gets on through.
Whoa, big slide by the 20. Here comes Bressy up the inside down the front straight.
Gonna get by the lap car Bartelt, and now Buchanan's gonna have to deal with him.
Well, Buchanan's really deep on the brakes behind Bressy. Bit of a slide into turn 1. Buchanan's gonna follow through.
I don't think he's gonna be clear though.
Oh, that's going to be a huge detriment to Buchanan if he can't clear him, and now he's going to throttle up. He did lose some time, but not as much as he could have.
Riley Thompson's turn to get around the 20.
And Thompson's eating this up right now. He loves watching these guys fight.
Yeah, he had the easiest time getting through the lap car. We'll continue on. 3 seconds separating our top 4.
Robert Hall and Blake Trawick, they're side by side down the front straightaway, and Hall takes 12th place away after kind of having a rocky start to this one earlier tonight.
Trawick not entirely able to catch back up to him. He's going to try to make up under braking.
Braked a little early there. He actually heard him throttle back up before he got to the corner. I think he realized he overslowed. Now struggling. The rear tires are entirely burned off that 65. He cannot get the power down. Brian Chambliss closing in for 13th.
Yeah, a lot of these guys back here are running in the 34s, 35s. See much more significant tire wear off compared to the guys further up the order.
Chad Simpson's in no man's land right now in 5th. Welker and Hensley still nose to tail in 6th and 7th.
Yeah, both of them catching up to Chad Simpson. And here comes McQuistion and Liam Sheen, and they're running currently 8th and 9th.
And Sheen having a pretty solid run tonight in the 96. Started in 9th and hasn't lost or gained anything, so he's just holding serve and looking pretty good.
Yeah, has a chance of gaining 1 spot from where he started. We can get past McQuistion, but back up to the top. Still looking at the top 4 all close together.
And Johnson was slower, but only by a couple hundredths, but that has let Bressy close in. And I think this fight's going to happen for most of the rest of the race. I don't think anybody's that much better than anybody else right now. They're just so even. And they're kind of accordioning back together every couple laps. A bit of a lockup by the 28, and the 24 ran wide, so it kind of negated all the advantage you just gained.
Yeah, this is where I would say you want a short pit. I think as soon as you can make it to the end on gas, I think from here on out, maybe go another lap or so just so you can overtake the 28. This is where I would say Bressy should come in.
Or what's the advantage to staying out and kind of doing the overcut here, Finney? You'll have better tires towards the end of the race. Is that a strategy you might be able to play?
I mean, potentially, but I think for these guys, it's going to be easier to make the pass in the pits than on the track. Especially considering how close on pace the 24 and the 28 are.
You hear how ginger Bressy is being on the throttle. And you see the 28. Whoa, big slide for the 24 as well. And they're having to be so careful with throttle application here. 3/10 of a second. Now 2/10 into the braking zone. Johnson and Bressie, the top two.
So really close together for these guys. And then past Riley Thompson, it's a 13-second gap back to Chad Simpson.
Almost halfway, 3 laps away from halfway here. It'll be lap number 21 that we cross the half mark of this race. And it's now half a second. Bressie over, out driving himself through turn 3 again.
You can see a little bit of puff of tire smoke from him locking up the brakes.
It's not really turn 3, it's more like turn 5 over there, isn't it? I don't know, I can't find a track map that says anything about it, so who knows what corner it is.
6, I think 6. Yeah, it's definitely 6.
Oh, Johnson on the rumble strip, and Bressie a little bit. And the rumble strips around here are pretty slippery, especially in the braking zone. So there's not, I don't really think, you know how much I love curbs. I'm not really a fan of using them a lot at this racetrack. They're pretty slippery, especially on corner entry. So I'd be wary of using them a lot.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the angle you're attacking them at on some of the curves. Some curves are better than others, so you're definitely going to watch out for which ones to use and which ones to kind of stay away from.
Yeah, the slow ones, like the apex of turn 1 and the apex of turn 10, I think you're okay on those. It's the fast, flat ones, especially these inside kind of the protector curves before the grass here. Those are also pretty slick. You want to keep your tires off of those if you can. Trawick has just retired his car.
Oh, not sure why. He was running pretty well up until this point.
Yeah, he was burning the tires off, so he might have had an incident, but we've lost a significant number of cars. Dolger is retired, Westwood is retired, Evan Adams has retired.
Yeah, Flores is actually back on the track despite being 10 laps down. Has a shot of passing Westwood and a few other cars if he can continue out on the track.
It's a great looking paint scheme too on that car. That is gorgeous. X-Mag car.
Fortunately, it's running in 23rd, but looking to just gain a few more spots on pit road. Christopher Matthews on pit road in the 92.
Yeah, I don't really see any damage on. Oh yeah, he's got some fairly significant damage on the nose of that car, so he's been in the wall. How about this fight? This is 10th. Pistorius, Fambro, and Hall all together. Here comes then 5 up the inside and breaks a little early. Hall's going to try to sneak up the outside.
5 of Fambro trying to keep Hall in behind. They're going to take a shallow entry into turn 1. Going to able to defend easily from the 30.
And turn 2 here, it feels like there's no good way to take that corner.
No.
You go in there, and every lap it feels like you messed it up.
Yeah, it really depends. That corner is extremely dependent on how you get through turn 1. If you go wide in turn 1, you're going to have a miserable time in turn 2. And here comes Fambro now on the back of the 9 of Hayden Pistorius. Is the battle for 10th place.
Yeah, Pistorius' car was walking all over the racetrack at the exit of turn 3, and now through turn 6, he's got Will Roberts again. He's in pit lane here, Finian. So our first pit stop, scheduled stop of the night, and Bressie's going to hit pit lane as well. So
this is exactly what Bressie you need to do. Riley Thompson going to come in
that's
very hot.
Yeah.
Let's see if he was able to slow it down in time.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was potentially a speeding penalty. Mitch Welker's crashed. Oh no! And there's the 20 of Kevin Bartelt. If they had it coming together, this will. Oh no! He's clobbered by the 96 of Sheen.
Oh man.
Oh no! And Liam Sheen, who was having such a good night in 9th place, hammers the 76.
Yeah, massive amount of incidents there just before they enter back onto the oval.
Oh my goodness.
And Welker's going to be slamming his desk from that.
That was crazy. What just happened here? Oh, the 20 is going to lose it into the 76.
Oh, and Welker, victim in that.
Yeah, and then oh, that's just brutal.
And then let's start over with Liam Sheen for this next incident.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's Liam Sheen's fault there, Finian. I mean, I know it is yellow flag, sure, but at the same time, I don't think the 76 needed to get back on track eventually, but he just kind of cut across the racing line. You know, there's some fault on both sides there, but I can't totally put that on Sheen at all. I don't know if you disagree with that at all.
No, I kind of agree with that.
That's a huge disaster for Mitch Welker, though. Came in with undoubtedly so much confidence, and he leaves pit lane, but that car is not going to be as good. You see there's the 2 of Filarski in the dirt. But, wow. Anyway, Zach Buchanan and Johnson, the lone Project 2 cars remaining as the 76 tumbles down the order.
Yeah, and they're going to, imagine they're going to probably pit this time by. Going to easily cut this stint in half. And
the next lap by will be halfway. And Chad Simpson 21 seconds back from second place. That just shows you the difference of those top 4 drivers, how much faster they were than the rest of the field. They are flying around here right now as I think Hensley has broken off to come to pit lane.
Yeah, I think really all eyes are going to definitely be on the 24 best. You see him rocketing out of the final turn and across the line. We're going to definitely be able to see where he's going to line up in comparison to Nick Johnson and Buchanan. I'm surprised that these guys stayed out as long as they have. They are going to have fresher tires to work with, so I think that's why they're going to continue with this. So we'll have to see here.
So you have to wonder, are they going to commit fully to this and stay out until the fuel runs out? Or, I mean, if they come now, they're going to lose the lead for sure. They'll only have a 1 or 2 lap advantage. Is that going to be enough, do you think?
We'll have to see here. I think it might pay off for them in the end because Bressy's tires are going to fall off more because he's going to have to go longer on this second stint of tires. But as they come out of the second to last corner, I imagine these guys are going to make the trip right onto pit road.
Gingerly back on throttle here. This will be halfway this time through, and we'll see if Johnson and Buchanan hit pit lane or if they'll commit to an overcut here. No, they're going to stay out. So committing to a full overcut strategy here seems to be the way to go, and Johnson going way defensive. Wouldn't expect that, but
yeah, I'm surprised. You would have thought these guys working together. I don't know if he was just doing it for the
competition.
Yeah. And down into turn 1 for these guys. So surprisingly, they're going to continue this on.
So now the real question is, what lap time will Thomas Bressi run this time through? It'll probably be in the realm of a 1:30, and that's 3 to 5 seconds that he's already going to be gaining on these drivers. So they better be getting up and going after their pit stop because they're going to have some work to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have the work cut out for them. But as we look at Bressi here, last lap was him coming out of pit road. This will be a true indicator of his speed on fresh tires, and across the line is going to be a 1:30.5, his fastest lap of the race.
Yep, and that was an average of 99.7 miles an hour, and was one of the quickest laps that we've seen. The drivers that have run quicker, well, Riley Thompson actually has the best lap of the night, a 1:30.031. And Thompson just ran that, so Thompson was actually quicker.
Riley Thompson not giving up. This could essentially be the fight for the lead among those 2 drivers. I'm looking at Hayden Pistorius and Robert Hall as a fight for 6th place in the midst of green flag pit stops.
And Johnson and Buchanan, they're going to have to come eventually. We'll see if it'll be this lap. Go back to the battle between Hall and Pistorius because it's getting physical now. Car off in the dirt. That's Bartelt again. He's having a rough day out there.
It really is. Struggling, and then you see Hall keeping it tight to the apex here, trying to get a run on the 9 of Hayden Pistorius.
Oh, big slide by the 30. Goes way around the outside of 6. Pistorius crosses back under, and Fambro
Johnson
closes.
and Zach Buchanan into pit road.
All right, so now the question is, they're going to be behind Thomas Bressi for sure. Now the real question is, how far back will they be, and will they have time to get back to him before the race is over? You got 20 laps. It's a long time. Yeah. You got a lot of work.
Well, the thing is that for the time this race, Nick Johnson's going to be on the back foot, so it'll be interesting to see how that's going to play out with the swap and dynamics. Still looking at Robert Hall trying to chase down the 9 of Hayden Pistorius. Ooh, Pistorius goes wide. Here comes Hall back up the inside. Pistorius struggling to get on the power. Looks like Hall's going to beat him to it.
Yeah, you have to drive like you got an eggshell under your foot when you get back on the throttle. The tires are so hot and slippery, and big slide. The 9 is going to hit pit lane, and he'll make it. And the 5 of Fambro is going to follow him down.
And same thing, too, with Brian Chambliss right in behind. Still looking at for what is going to be the battle for the lead.
It is the battle for the lead.
Yeah.
Bressi and Thompson have gone through. It's 0.2 of a second. Johnson and Buchanan, wow, they're 10 seconds back as Travis McQuistion hits pit lane from 6th.
Yeah, not too terribly surprised from that. They stayed out another 2-3 laps. It's about 3 seconds worth of the pace differential that they're going at.
I'm not convinced that they can make up 9 seconds, though.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to push here. Remember, these guys are going to be running on these older tires for about 2-3 more laps than those guys, so anything's possible here. They just got to get their head down and get to it.
Yeah, right now, Johnson's and Buchanan's best friend is Riley Thompson. Push that 24 car, battle for the lead. You're going to burn those tires off.
And if I'm the 58 of Riley Thompson, I'm going to, if anything, just stick him behind this 24 and ride this out. At worst, you're going to get a solid 2nd place finish.
And at best, you'll win the race. I mean, there's a lot of advantages to being Riley Thompson right now. You have control over the race because Bressi is not setting the pace right now. It's the 58. If Thompson slows down, Bressi can take a breather, but they're not taking a breather right now. They're fighting.
Yeah, I think they're gonna. We'll see here if they are gonna fight for it. We've seen Thompson pretty close, but not enough to pass the 24. Hasn't really made an attempt yet.
And across the start-finish line this time, 175 miles an hour. And Bressi slightly offline to the right to defend. Was Bartelt out of pit lane right in front of the leaders? He's going to bail to the inside.
Smart move there. That would have been disastrous.
Yeah, that
for
would
the
have been
leaders.
disastrous. He's already had into contact with one of the leaders tonight. I don't think he wants to do that again. And Mitch Welker, speaking of him, back in 8th place. He needs a caution, and I don't think he's going to get it, so this will be a frustrating night for him for sure.
Well, if his incident was a caution, I don't think we're ever going to get a caution.
No, that's actually, can I just say, that is the reason why I do like full course yellows at road courses, because they prevent stuff like that from happening. Obviously, you don't have live Emmons all the time, so it's not possible.
It would be nice if we had automatic ones.
Yeah, I mean, again, the discussion always turns to what is the criteria. And I've always said the way to do it would be to have a certain amount of incidents in a certain distance.
Yeah.
But, I don't even know if that would have triggered at that point, so who knows. I think Robert Hall has hit pit lane in the 30, so he gives up his fight with, or what was fighting with the 5 and the 9.
Walker, through all his ups and downs, has come back out in 7th place, so not terrible night for him. Has a shot at he's trying to actually catch back to Tyler Hensey. Remember, that was the guy he was fighting with before.
Yeah, I don't think that he'll be upset necessarily with the position number. I think he'll be upset with how far back track position-wise he is in terms of the distance around the racetrack, because when you're 7th place, I mean, let's take a look where we are on the racetrack right now. He's heading in to turn number 9. Thomas Bressi is on the front straightaway. That is an eternity around here, and you don't feel like you're really a part of the battle when you're that far back. And for Mitch Welker, that's going to be a frustrating night, and he expected to come in here and have a shot to win.
So looking at Bressi across the line, pretty much a 31 flat for him, while Nick Johnson ran a 130.1.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, and they are actually gaining. They gained about a second. And my question now becomes, how much of this is Bressi saving? How much of them is burning off the tires? We're not really sure, but I think the 58 is pressuring the 24, and this is what's going to lose Bressi the race. If I'm Thomas, I'd let him by. I'd run my own race. I'd let pace myself, because getting pushed is going to make you make mistakes.
See how these guys continue to race this out. This is top 2.
To the braking zone again. And even if Thompson isn't actively pushing the 24, you're still looking in your mirror, you're still double checking before the braking zone. It's still taking you out of your rhythm. You're much better off being completely by yourself. And every time you glance up, I think they're fighting. It's hard to tell, honestly, but see, they're drifting out of these corners. And Johnson Buchanan are certainly, wow, Buchanan just ran a 129.5. That is, by a significant margin, the fastest lap that we've seen tonight, by almost a half a second.
Yeah, the only guy to be in the 129s. No one else is running that anywhere close, as you're saying, anywhere close to that fast.
Yeah, first driver over 100 miles an hour average as well, so.
Has gotten held up by some lap traffic, though, so he's gotten disconnected from his teammate.
Oh my gosh, the 20 car again. He's going to take out the whole Project 2 team at this rate.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to end up going to have to let Buchanan on by here.
And behind them, that is Don Runkle Jr. Don Runkle Jr. in the 00 has had an okay night. He's staying out of trouble, but back in 14th, a lap down. I mean, honestly, these two are fighting. I'm sorry to cut you off, Eddie, but these guys are racing hard for it.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that they are. It's only going to make Nick Johnson's life easier here as they fight in the second half of the lap. Or sorry, this is actually the beginning of the lap.
This is entering the back straightaway here, so exit of turn 8.
Going to cost him quite a bit of time. We'll see if this keeps up.
And slow and steady might win the race tonight, and I think they're just pushing a little too hard. And again, I said when they came out of the pits that 9-10 seconds was too much for them to gain back. Well, yeah, if Bressi or Thompson was setting the pace and they were taking their time, I think they'd be easily win this race. With them pushing so hard, Johnson and Buchanan are going to eat this time up alive. And I think Buchanan isn't pushing right now either. I think he's waiting for his teammate to get there and then fight and bring him right back into the mix naturally.
We'll see this time through all the 20 and the 40 how to navigate some lap traffic last time through. So I think they got mostly a clean lap in this time by. So 131.9 for Bressi. For Nick Johnson, 131.2. Actually corrected to 130.7.
Yeah, it's a full second faster. Thompson all over the back of Bressi through turns 2 and 3. 16 laps to go. This time by about 23 minutes of racing remaining.
cloud coming over the track. Should start to cool it down a little bit.
Yeah, track has cooled fairly significantly, about, what, 5 or 6 degrees at least. Maybe even a bit more than that. I think it was 106 at the highest.
It was 106, so yeah, it's gone down 11 degrees, and potentially even more here as the clouds over the surface.
That might be why we're seeing lap times really pick up from the drivers that just left pit lane. So the front two continue to lead, but it's only by 6.7, and now the Project 2 car's back in the picture at the back of the shot, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, and rocketing down the back straight for both these guys.
And Johnson has already clinched most laps led today, 22 of the 42. Pistorius and Chambliss, this is a battle onto the front straightaway. Woo, big slide by the 25.
Chambliss tried to look to the outside there, but couldn't get it done. Got a little bit loose, so gonna have to pull back in behind the 9. Battle for 11th spot.
Can't get brave enough to make that braking zone work, so he'll back out. And now it's only 6 seconds between Thompson and Johnston. They are coming and coming quick. They're going to get there. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, full second fast for Nick Johnson last lap through. Still catching them at a significant rate. Looking at some other battles that are looking to start to be brewing is between Hensley and Welker for 6th place. Welker trying to catch back up to Tyler Hensley.
Yeah, 1.7 seconds back. And Welker's just been trying desperately to get this car to do what he wants it. And you know, the frustrating slip and slide he had earlier in the race in turn 6 that put him off course and down the order. That had nothing to do with his later incident. You never know what would have happened if that didn't happen, but it was a coming together with the 20 of Kevin Bartelt, who is now retired, that ultimately put the 76 in this position.
Yeah, Welker is still catching Hensley at a slow rate, but catching him at around 0.2 a lap.
32.6 last time by for Welker, a 32.9 for Tyler Hensley 1 lap ago. Bressi has a bit of breathing room now. It's only about a car length and a half, but it's more than he's had the previous few laps. 15 laps to go. And throughout the rest of the field, Fambro, Pistorius, and Chambliss. It's now a 3-car fight for 10th. That 25 car is driving the wheels off that car right now.
So is the 9 too. He had a tank slapper coming out of the corner.
Chambliss isn't being quite as brave in the braking zones, though, and I'm honestly on board with that. You don't want to push yourself past your comfort zone into the brakes here, especially downshifting these cars. Again, a lot of the oval drivers, shifting is not their forte. You have to rev match these cars. It's not, you don't have to heel toe or anything, but if you get it wrong once, your day's over, or at least competitively. So, I'm on board with being a bit more cautious about it and doing it the right way rather than trying to rush it for an overtake that you could have done somewhere else. About 20 minutes left in this race so far. It's been Thomas Bressi out front since the pit stop at lap number 19 for him. He has now led 6 laps. So of course, the most laps led has gone to Nick Johnson already in 3rd. He led the opening 22 laps and is now closing. But the paces have definitely equaled out. The last time by was a 31.7 to Bressi's 31.6.
Yeah, and it also looks like Johnson fell back in the end of Buchanan. Buchanan was 4 tenths faster. I think Johnson made a mistake last lap through. I think that cut their progress a little bit short.
But that's what's going to happen is as the tires wear, they're going to equal out. And you have to wonder that Thompson's backed it off from Bressi. How much is that helping these guys be able to back their own pace down so they're not burning up their stuff quite as fast? I still think that Bressi has the upper hand as long as that 58 isn't pressuring him. Through the IndyCar Oval, and again, riding on board here is such a wild experience. 150, 160 miles an hour right next to that wall.
Wrestling these cars through that final corner, nowhere near as planted as we see it in the Cup cars. These guys can easily just floor it through that corner with the amount of downforce. These guys don't have the same luxury.
Cannon out to the inside, trying to get out of the mirror of his teammate. These two have been racing each other pretty hard tonight, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm surprised they're battling each other. Considering what's at stake. These guys, this team works fairly well together.
Yeah. Right there, you see Buchanan had to pinch it off a little bit, and that's going to kill his momentum through turn 4. Bressi now has extended his lead to 0.8 of a second. And you see them just up the road there, about 5 seconds away. Yeah,
last time through Johnson more on track than what we expect to see him making inroads. He made 0.6 last time by, so still making some progress, but you can definitely see it start to slow.
See how quickly they've lost a second and a half. They've only been out on the racetrack for about 7 laps, so the tires are wearing significantly tonight. But when tires wear, that's fun for the drivers. They might be miserable right now, but at the end of the day, they'll go, that was fun, because I can make a difference. And now the 28 and the 40 continue their fight. I think Buchanan's getting a little bit impatient, because he can see those drivers just a little farther up the racetrack, and they're running out of laps. 12 laps to go this time by. Bressy's got a 7/10 of a second lead.
Yeah, you can see Thompson now is actually, I don't think Thompson's backing off. I think he's just naturally starting to get slower. In comparison to the 24 Bressy, you can see a 6/10 of a second gap between them.
And yeah, last time we had a road race, it was Bressy that went to victory lane, so we know he's good. And it took him a long time to get there too. For the longest time, Bressy was always competitive and never quite got it done. Remember back to the Roval race a couple seasons ago. Should have won that race, could have won that race, didn't win that race. I think he's making up for lost time tonight. Bold strategy. I think that was the one that you selected. That would probably be the winning strategy, and I disagreed earlier, and I don't disagree now. I think he's made the right call. But yes, those guys are coming pretty quick. Johnson and Buchanan now 4.5 seconds back. But will they have any tire left once they get back?
Yeah, I think that's also the other issue too. It's like, yeah, they're definitely making up time, but by the time they get back up to them, they're not going to have much of a tire left to pass. They have bumpers to try to pass, but they can only do so much good. And I think if anything, they're going to catch up to Riley Thompson. And the thing is, to get the win, they have to get past Riley Thompson and Bressy as well.
Yeah, and the other thing about the tire situation is we have no idea. I mean, Bressy's got to go more than half the distance, and we have no idea what the tire wear looks like at all. See Welker and Hensley. Welker has just gotten by for 6th place. Take a look at how that pass happened here. And this opened up here at the exit of turn 3. Hensley was slightly offline. Welker's going to sneak up the inside, very much the way that Bressy got by him earlier in the night. That was the pass for position there. So what I was talking about was that we don't know what the tire wear is like on the left front here. With all the load you're putting on it through the IndyCar Oval, Finian, is there a chance that we could see someone blow their tire at the end of this race from how much load they're putting on it?
Oh, I don't think so. I'll be a bit surprised, but I think, we said guys, locking it up every other corner. I think we could definitely see someone blow a tire. But these guys, they're definitely running harder. The amount of tread left is going to be pretty low, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near blowing a tire.
4.5 seconds as Colin Fambro has gone around for a loop, and here comes Robert Hall sneaking around, and this is in turn 6. See exactly how this happened. This looks very similar to what happened to Welker earlier.
Fambro running in 10th at the moment this happened.
And you just overcharge it a little bit too much, and I think it was a messy downshift that might have gotten it. Right on board here. Yeah, it didn't rev match high enough. This is exactly what I was talking about a little while ago. I mean, rev matching is so important to get these cars to sync up the gears properly and avoid wheel spin or lack of wheel spin.
Yeah, right. Looking back up again, Riley Thompson is really starting to fall off base over a second in behind Thomas Bressy, and Bressy still continuing to drive off.
Here comes Buchanan, going to sneak up the inside of his teammate. No hole yet.
Almost ended up hitting him.
I wonder if they're just playing around because they know they're going to get there, or do you think that they're legitimately fighting out to see who's going to be the best?
I mean, if I was them, I would say I'm a pretty good team player for the most part. I would stick with the strategy of just kind of running 1-2, not forcing each other until you get there.
Almost got in the wall.
I think Johnson's starting to abuse up his tires quite a bit. Buchanan's been saving it a bit more, and I think it's faster than the 28 at the moment. Yeah, I think they're starting to battle it out amongst each other. Whoa, Buchanan hard into turn 1. He's going to have to back off.
That's a big mistake there. And again, it's so easy to overdo it. Here's a look at what happened down in turn number 1. He's just going to lock this inside front and just overcook it. And
did a great job getting the car to still get through the corner relatively okay. It also kind of messed up his exit into 2.
Yep.
And it's still sliding around.
Yeah, so their progress has slowed significantly. They only gained a couple tenths that lap. And they only have 10 laps to go, and at that rate, they're running out of time, Finian. And again, the tires are equalizing out.
Here comes Bressy on some lap traffic, a decent amount, so.
And they're fighting.
Yeah, you're looking at Colin Fambro, Robert Hall, Brian Chambliss, and Hayden Pistorius up the road. So, yeah, this is going to be tricky here. We'll see how well Bressy can get through this. Could either help Bressy out or it could help Johnson out, or even Thompson and Buchanan for that matter.
Well, I think for sure it's going to help the Project 2 cars more than it's going to help the leading Camaros. Just the way lap traffic usually plays out, they usually fight the leader pretty hard and then concede once the leader passes. And Bresci is running his own pace, and I think that's the other thing that's helped is with Thompson kind of not on the radar anymore. He can run whatever he wants to run and back it down a level and to conserve those tires. He doesn't have to overdrive every corner to keep that 58 behind him. That's a key impact for the end of this race here, to keep that 58 away from his mirrors.
That time by Johnson only made up around a tenth or two over Thomas Bresci, so he's starting to hit a wall here and still needs to make up a decent amount of progress here with 9 laps to go.
Yeah, remember their initial gap that they had to make up was over 9 seconds. Now they've made up more than about 65-70% of that, but they still have a lot of time to gain, and they are down to less than half the distance left that they originally started their stint on. So 9 laps to go now, and this is starting to look like it's in Bresci's favor. Now some lap traffic to deal with, though, for the leader. This is going to get interesting. Will Fambro or anybody else concede positions? There's no requirement to. Oh, this is going to slow Bresci down quite a bit. Going to bring Thompson right back into the mix.
And this is going to be the tricky spot about catching lap cars in the right place.
Thompson ate that up. Johnston and Buchanan gained over half a second as well. Difficult to make passes.
Yeah, that's a thing, with no obligatory blue flags to obey. It's a suggestion flag for these guys.
Whoa, Bresci's going to sneak out to driver's right. And they're going to race down into turn 1. And the 5 is totally entitled to be doing this right now, but it's going to make Bresci's life a little bit harder down into the first corner. And pass complete, and Thompson's going to follow them on through. Now Johnson and Buchanan, they've got to deal with them. The question is, how much will they be held up by that 5 car? I don't think it'll be quite as much as Bresci and Thompson would.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, though. Fambro's still trying to fight, or at least catch the cars up ahead of him, so he's still kind of in the hunt. Oh, actually, speaking of which, Hayden Stories, he's just retired.
Uh-oh. It's got to be relatively recent. While we were watching that battle, was, it made you pancake the wall in the final corner. This is an easy place to make a mistake.
You're gonna lose.
Oh, just lost connection, I think.
Oh.
So that answers that question. So 8 laps to go, and Thompson right back pushing the issue on Bresci, and the Project 2 Supras are 3rd and 4th, 3.3 seconds back. The lap traffic certainly helped them, and they're not done dealing with lap traffic yet, because there's a couple more cars on the horizon that are still fighting, Robert Hall and Brian Chambliss.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one. After those 2 cars, they got pretty much clean air, but I think for Bresci working through guys that are fighting with one another, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, and they definitely are going to catch them here as they come out of the final corner. It's going to be 7 laps to go at the line.
About 10 minutes worth of racing. Is it enough for the Supras in 3rd and 4th? Johnson won last week. It was his first win of the season. He's led the most laps tonight. Certainly was the dominant car for the first half of the race, but he's got work to do. And lap traffic to deal with.
Yeah, they're going to catch Fambro in a bad spot here.
It's going to go right by him, and Fambro isn't going to contest that at all, which is why it's going to hurt Bresci and Thompson a whole lot more, which we expected. I don't know if Thompson has a race-winning race car tonight, Finney, and I don't. He's close, but he needs to be just a hair better. I don't think he is right now.
I have to see here, unless he's been hiding something from us. If anything, yeah, I don't think he's going to be too disappointed with 2nd. I would definitely imagine that Bresci's going to give him a run for his money there. You see him behind Johnson trying to catch the guys up ahead, but up ahead of the leaders is Chambliss and Sheen as Chambliss goes wide.
Yeah, Chambliss looks like he's gotten rear-ended by a tractor trailer. That car is all sorts of destroyed. Adam Petty throwback there. And as these 2 fight, again, the leaders behind are going to be right in the midst of a battle for top 10 positions. So, probably get held up some more.
And I'm really curious where Bresci is going to catch them, and really where he catches them is going to make a huge difference, whether they're going to lose a lot of time or keep it the gap more or less the same here. It's looking at just over 3 seconds here with 6 laps to go now.
They've entirely evened out. I think Buchanan's still the quickest of the group. He was by half a second last time, but he's also got the most ground to make up of anybody. So, you know, they're going to need some help from lap traffic to get this done. 6 laps to go down into turn 1. That time Buchanan was a 33.1, was actually the slowest of the top 4. It's all circumstantial. Oh, and we're hearing it was a hardware issue for Pistorius. That's a frustrating end of the night.
It really is after having such a good run.
It was fun watching him race as well. He had a heck of a fight with the 5 for a while. But it's now going to be a 2-horse race at the end of this, unless the Project 2 Supras have anything left in their tank. Next time by will be 5 laps to go, and there's lap traffic fighting in front of them.
It's going to be a tough section, especially if they go out to pass one another here. Bressy's going to lose a lot of time. They're going to be single file through over here. Comes Bressy's going to catch them in this section.
Yeah, this is a bad section to catch drivers too, because you really can't pass from here until turn 1. Unless you get really aggressive car off on the inside. I think that is the 10 car. Yes, it is. David Mott forced move, and the 30's going to bail out of the way. That's great for Bressy.
Yeah, Hall going to be a nice guy. He's going to give the spot to Bressy. That made made it pretty easier for the 24. Now he's just got to deal with one car. That's the 25 at Chambliss here. He's going to catch him on the straightaway. So this actually might be pretty good for Bressy.
Yeah, Johnson and Buchanan are just face palming right now because that helped Bressy a ton. 5 laps to go and only 1 driver left in sight to dispose of before he's got clean racetrack to the inside down the front straightaway. Thomas Bressy trying to wrestle away a win from Nick Johnson after he led the initial half of this race.
There's Chambliss going out wide, going to let Bressy on by. Not going to give the same courtesy to the 58 quite yet. Still side by side.
Yeah, I think Thompson wasn't quite sure if he wanted to throw it down the inside there. And was barely given the space, but then the 25 pulled over.
Yeah, so that the entire section really helping between the lap cars, helping out Bressy towards his other 3 competitors. Now here comes Johnson catching that same group of lap traffic.
Yeah, I think for Johnson, he's got a legitimate shot at second place. I'm not sure that he could get Thomas Bressy yet unless there was some more help. And you look off the nose of Thomas Bressy, there's a whole lot of nothing. There's 1 car up the road, and I think that might be the 96 of Liam Sheen. But I don't think he's going to get there, and if he does, it'll be only 1 car he's got to deal with.
I'm surprised it was Liam Sheen, because Liam should be 27 seconds ahead of Brian Chambliss, so I think it should be good unless it's some other lap car.
It could be another lap car. We didn't exactly see who it was. Buchanan has kind of dropped off. They're still running quicker than the leaders, but it's not by a lot. Their tires have almost completely equalized fitting, and I fear that for the 28, the strategy is what's going to lose him this race.
Yeah, well, it's looking more and more like it here. He's running out of laps here. You see Buchanan in the background sliding on these tires here, trying to get the power down.
There's a look at what that looks like on corner exit here. Just wheeling the heck out of this thing, trying to get the power to stick, and watch inside the cockpit here as he tries to get the power back down to the ground. Big counter steer, and
still going to be counter steering as he's getting back on the power.
Yeah. So
there comes Johnson out catching up to Robert Hall and Chambliss. Those 2 still battling up ahead.
Thomas Bressy pulling away 1 second lead over Riley Thompson, looking more and more like the 24's night right now. And all came back to that strategy on lap number 19 that you said would be the race-winning win.
And I believe that it's Wilco that's up the road.
That will be correct, and Wilco is off pace, but he's far enough off pace that I don't even think he'll be a problem. I think they'll get by him relatively quickly.
I'm surprised he also splits up a fight here. He's 2 laps down, looking at 3 laps down.
Nice livery on that 62 as well.
Yeah.
That's a good looking car.
Hershey kisses.
Down the back straightaway, you see the 28 dealing with Robert Hall, but more and more looking like a Thomas Bressy victory if he can just hang on for 3.5 more laps.
Yeah, there you see Welko giving the line to Bressy. He's going to move out of the way, and also going to, I think he's just going to ditch out.
He's going to bail. He's not really racing anybody. This is a very smart move and a really respectful one as well.
He doesn't want to be involved. He's going to walk away with a 14th place finish out of this, so he's just going to stay out of everyone's way. Same thing with Robert Hall. Just gave a line to Nicholas Johnson.
Yeah, it's still wheeling that thing. He's probably diminishing returns with the tire slip on that car. 3 laps to go for Thomas Bressy. The strategy called lap number 19.
Yeah, I think for Bresci right now, as it comes to 3 laps to go, I think the key for him is just don't make a mistake. I don't think Johnson's even gonna. I think Johnson barely has a chance of getting second place at the way they run.
Yeah, they just burned so much of their stuff off trying to gain almost 10 seconds on the leaders. Just not going to be enough unless one of the leaders makes a mistake, which is possible. But we haven't seen Bresci make a whole lot of mistakes other than the contact he had with the Supers earlier. He's been pretty on point tonight. He hasn't slid wide or a whole lot, maybe once or twice, but he's kind of dialed in right now.
Yeah, has more than enough open road up ahead of him to finish this race out, so doesn't have to worry about passing him anyone. He's just got to worry about hitting his marks.
And being so smooth, you hear him short shifting as well, just trying to keep the tires under control. Thompson has fallen to 1.5 seconds back. And Johnson 2.7 back from Thompson.
Buchanan really falling off the pace in the later going. Was looking like he would be the faster between the two Project 2 cars, but it's falling. It looks like he might end up staying in 4th again. Not a terrible day, but with a lot of these guys up here looking for winning the race, it's going to be disappointing.
The initial start of the race, both Buchanan and Mitch Welker passed Bresci down in the first sector. So they looked amazing right from the start, but after a little bit of roughing up and the pit strategy kind of going the wrong direction for him, it's not going to be a race-winning day for either of those 2 cars. Mitch Welker is back in 6th, and he's going to be very frustrated. He's such a fast race car. He still is running pretty good lap times, a full half-second quicker, a full second quicker than his teammate Zach Buchanan in 4th, but just too far back to do anything with it.
And going back up to our leaders, Bresci now 2 laps to go into turn 1. And Johnson actually slower than Riley Thompson last lap through, and I think that might have had to do with him getting through Brian Chambliss, who he's finally been able to clear.
And for Thomas Bresci, think of all the times, all the races that he ran in the past at road tracks where we hyped him up and said he's really good at the road courses, he's the one to beat. He didn't end up winning any of them until the last time out at a road course. And I believe it was Watkins Glen the last time. And it was a long time coming, but he has figured out the magic formula to winning road course races in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, and he's now got a 2.4 second lead. Thompson really slow through that first sector.
And Johnson, you see him pushing everything in that car left to try to catch up to Riley Thompson for at least 2nd place.
And Buchanan's got 34 seconds back. Chad Simpson in the Spark VR car has had a really good day. It's just been really unremarkable.
Yeah.
Started in 6th spot up to 5th, and it doesn't have a scratch on that car anywhere. Has run a very clean race, but not quite fast enough to be in contention for the race.
Yeah, it's been a very, you're saying, very quiet day for the 46, but you know that car is in pristine condition, so I think you should get a pat on the back for that. You're going to get a nice solid top 5.
Yeah, returning it to the shop as fresh looking as when it came out on the racetrack. That's always a nice surprise at the end of the day for the team owner to look at that and say, oh, it still looks as good as when I brought it out there, and we get to pay you the full salary instead of taking all the money off for all the dings and scrapes he got on it.
Tony Stewart will be very happy with that.
Yes.
Anyway, white flag for Thomas Bresci. He's got 1 more lap to make it back around. Riley Thompson with a 1.8 now. Actually, he just went over 2 seconds back. I think he's just kind of focusing on keeping Nick Johnson behind him. I think he knows that battle for the lead's kind of over. Yeah,
it is over, and Johnson has closed. It's 2.2 seconds, but unless a miracle happens, the running order as it stands will be the way it finishes. It was upstate New York and Watkins Glen International, the super speedway of road courses, that Bresci got his last Fuel victory. And it was his first Fuel victory at a road course after so many attempts of coming so close. Charlotte Roval the previous season. And as I said a few minutes ago, he's figured out the winning formula.
Working through the final sector of track now. Great job done. Currently 2nd place in the points. John Poole was leading coming into this round, but not here tonight. So easily, with this win, will easily put Thomas Bresci up into the points lead, but I don't think he's really going to care a whole lot about that, at least for now. He's definitely going to enjoy this win.
Thomas Bresci has worked his way through 42 laps at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Yard of Bricks has stories to tell. And today the story is Thomas Bresci with the strategy call out of the final corner, checkered flag at Indianapolis, and Thomas Bresci, the Exalta 24 Camaro, he'll go to victory lane and get the job done. Thompson in 2nd, and Project 2 teammates Johnson and Buchanan 3rd and 4th. And Chad Simpson, a long ways back, should finish out this race in 5th.
It's going to take him a while, but yeah, definitely going to be happy with a solid top 5. But for Bressie, excellent win, did a great job. As Riley Thompson giving congratulations as he passes on by to the 24.
And definitely no hard feelings between the 24 and 28. Now the question is, Buchanan and Welker had a couple of run-ins tonight. I'm curious to hear their opinions on everything, but I mean, it's road course racing.
Yeah,
you get the elbows out, all fair game, I think.
I was gonna say he didn't completely dump him. He just moved him out of the way and then just kind of went on with his day. I think for the 40, I think really, and even the 20 for that matter, I think for them it was just bad strategy that lost in the race more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say. I mean, it was an okay strategy. It just wasn't the winning one today.
Yeah.
Any other day it might have been the one, especially if there was some more lap traffic out there. Certainly could have been the case. But Bressie celebrating. He's very, very happy with how this has turned out, I would imagine. Finishing order scrolling across the top of your screen. And the road course king here got it done.
Just gonna drive on by. Nothing to say.
No opinion on that, I imagine. Celebrations on the bricks here, quite forbidden, but I'm sure he'll do a burnout next to him. And of course,
Oh, okay.
Nope, we're expecting drama. There's no drama.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was drama.
The empty crowds here due to the COVID-19 virus. Of course, we're all kind of tongue-in-cheek with that, but also helps the frame rate, and it's an excuse to turn the graphics down for a little bit. So Thomas Bressie victorious at Indianapolis Brickyard. So endowed with racing history, and the 24 has a long history itself at this track. And celebrations for Bressie. That is a classic look.
Here he comes.
Nope. Yeah, he lifted right at the line. Hey, there you go.
He kind of had some of it come on.
Oh, you got the brake bias cranked forward to lock up the brakes, too. That's pretty nice. Okay.
I got it that time.
Now he got him torn up. All right, here's a look at your race results. Of course, oh man, hard crash in pit lane. Bressie, Thompson, Johnson, Buchanan, and Chad Simpson, your top 5. Only one lead change recorded in this race. It was Bressie passing the 28 car.
Unfortunately, it was in the pits. Didn't get to see it on the track, but I'm sure for Bressie, he's not going to care either which way. He did a great job on the strategy. Picked the winning one. Same thing with Thompson too. Wasn't the winning one for him, but it put him up into second place.
And we'll let that scroll through one more time because the last couple drivers haven't shown up yet. But disappointments tonight, Finney. And for the 76, of course, we documented his troubles earlier in the race with the spin he had, and then of course the contact with the 20 of Bartel. Colin Fambro, a little bit surprised he wasn't a little bit higher up the order. He finished his 12th, one lap down. Will Roberts, 18th place, 17 laps down for him, so his night didn't end the way he would have wanted. But all in all, a really competitive race at the very least, and Bressie goes home victorious. We're going to talk to your race winner and some of the Project 2 cars, as well as Riley Thompson here in just a minute, so stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back live to Sim TV and the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series from the Indianapolis Road Course. Here now with our 6th place finisher, Mitch Welker. Mitch, tonight didn't end quite the way you wanted, but had a really strong start to the night. What went wrong? You ended up with a 6th place finish. You can't be too upset, but I know that contact with the 20 wasn't the way you wanted to have your right end.
No, for sure. I was due for a bad race in general. Beginning was fine, I guess, but I was still losing to Nick. Then I got moved by Bressie. We talked that over. It's all right. You know, I could have still stuck with Zach, but then I just speared off in the second sector there, and from then on, it was just a downward spiral. So ultimately, I found I just didn't have the pace that the front did. Even after changing the tires, I just didn't have the pace that they did. So I'll take this for what it is and just go on to the next one, I guess.
All right, Mitch Welker, top 10 run tonight, 6th place for the 76 McLaren Supra. Mitch, thanks for talking. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you.
Moving on now to our 4th place finisher, Zach Buchanan in the number 40 Project 2 Supra. Zach, tonight, a little bit elbows out at times, but the strategy didn't quite work out tonight. You ended up finishing 4th. I know you were faster than that. Disappointed with the night or pretty happy with a top 5 result?
I mean, with how my season's been going so far, I can't be too disappointed. And I drove a pretty darn good race, all things considered. So I'm not too disappointed.
It seemed like managing the tires was going to be important right from the drop of the green flag. And, of course, the pit stop, you guys decided to stay out a little bit later. How much at the end were the tires equalized with the 24? And do you think if you had more laps, you would have caught them? Or were they kind of leveling off to be equal at that point?
That's more down to my driving. The first half of the race before our pit stop, me and Nick were just totally full conserve mode, try to keep the tires for the long run. And that was our plan for the whole race. But once we did our pit stop after the halfway point marker, I was just way too hard on the tires. I was trying to get around Nick so I could try to challenge Thomas and Riley, but I just burnt up my stuff doing so.
It was a good race for you and the entire team, all of your drivers inside the top 6. Is Will Project 2 driver?
Yes, you're forgetting Colin, though. He finished 11th, I believe.
Okay, so ignore the thing I just said about you guys all finishing top 10. But, but either way, Project 2 still had a really good running tonight. And 4th place for Zach. Zach, congrats, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure thing. Moving on now to our 3rd place finisher, or how about 2nd place? We'll talk to Riley Thompson next. Riley Thompson in the number 58. Riley, tonight was a really fun fight to watch. You were right behind Thomas Bressie for the majority of the night, but it didn't seem like you could quite get past him. How much were you pushing him in that final run after the pit stop, and how much were you just desperately trying to stay hooked onto his rear bumper?
It was more of pushing as much as the tires allowed. If you try to push a little bit too much, it would just be ice skating the whole track. So it was trying to keep those in check, but also not let him get too far ahead.
We saw over the course of the run, the tires drop off over 3.5, almost 4 seconds. So, were you short shifting? I mean, how much of this tire conservation is short shifting? How much of it is using less throttle? And how much better tonight do you think you were than the other drivers inside the top 10?
Couldn't really short shift too much because we were always in second to the infield. Couldn't even touch first because if you touch that, you're already almost spinning. So you wanted to just try and be as careful as you could, make the tires last as long as you could. But even then, like what you said, with how big the drop off was, I think at that point, about 5 laps in, I kind of started to realize, hey, undercut is going to be the way to go. And I still think I probably could have pitted a lap before, tried to get Thomas.
Riley Thompson, 2nd place tonight after a really strong run. Riley, congrats. Really fun watching you battle Bressie there at the end, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Moving on now to Nick Johnson, who finished 3rd place tonight in his Project 2 Supra. Nick led the most laps tonight, 22 of the first 22 laps, and he came to pit lane, and it just didn't seem like that strategy panned out. Walk us through your night and the strategy call before you try to chase down Thompson and Bressie at the end.
Well, honestly, Kyle, I've been giving up too many halfway points so far this season. So me and the Project 2 guys, me, Zach, Mitch, we all had a plan to stay out, get the halfway points, and try to run them back down at the end. Unfortunately, once the tires hit the cliff, they hit the cliff, and everyone just kind of evens out. Doesn't matter how many laps you have on your tires. And it just wasn't meant to be. I was playing the points game tonight. Congrats to Thomas and Riley on their good finishes. But I think we got a good points night, and Razor Toyota Supra was handling great. So I really can't be too mad.
Nick Johnson, third place tonight in the number 28 Project 2 Supra. Nick, thanks for talking. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Last but certainly not least, it'll be Thomas Bressi in the number 24 Exalta Camaro. Thomas, it took a long time for you to get to victory lane at a road course here in the Fuel Premier Series, rather. But you went to Watkins Glen last season. You won that race, and you won this race. Back-to-back road course wins in Fuel. Have you finally cracked the code here tonight?
Maybe, I guess. I'd like to, as I keep telling you guys every time this happens, I'd like to win on an oval. But you know, we got a couple good tracks coming up anyway, so we'll see if that can happen. But we were all just talking about it. We had such a fun battle tonight, just all race really, especially like that first half. It was the car track combo and everything. It was way better than I think any of us were hoping for, and it was a ton of fun. So I was a little more aggressive. I was telling them just on the initial start, just because I got ganged up on real hard by all the P2 guys. So. I was just like, all right, well, we gotta work to get our spots back. And I mean, I didn't mean to get into Mitch. I apologize to him for that, but I just I thought I could get at least my nose in there, and then halfway through the braking zone, the front started to slide. I even threw it in first, trying to just rotate it somehow and not hit him. But oh well. But yeah, otherwise it was a lot of fun. I had a blast, and I'm glad we got a dub. So happy face.
Happy face for the 24, Thomas Bressi. Victory lane at Indianapolis. Thomas, congratulations, and good luck to you next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Sure thing. And with that, that's going to wrap up the broadcast. I'm eager to get this one over with because I just saw that Kyle Busch just signed up for iRacing, and I'm very excited about what announcement iRacing may have had. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Here's one last look at your race results. Thank you again for joining us. We're going to be live again on Thursday night with Scars Ferrari Challenge. Where are we this week on Thursday? Looks like we're heading to the Charlotte Roval on the 19th. So make sure you join us at 9 o'clock p.m. on Thursday night. Thank you again for watching the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you have not done so already. And we'll see you on Thursday.